A supermarket in Kunming, China, suddenly collapsed, causing customers to fall into the river. China's first women's clothing stock officially delisted, closing 9,293 stores in 5 years. 5 tons of gold from Hakou Holdings vanished, and 3 executives fled overseas in secret. A supermarket in Kunming, Yunnan Province, China, suddenly collapsed a few days ago. Because the supermarket straddled the river, customers fell into the water, and some people suffered lumbar fractures. The incident occurred at around 5 p.m. on November 15th. A snack supermarket in Sifang Street, Century City, Guandu District, Kunming City, suddenly collapsed. Until 11 o'clock in the evening, the scene was still cordoned off. The on-site video shows that the supermarket straddled a river and was connected to the buildings on both sides. After the incident, a large amount of goods and building materials fell into the river below the supermarket. Witnesses said that after the supermarket collapsed, some people fell into the river below. A netizen told Jimu News that he had been in the store to buy snacks when the accident occurred, resulting in a lumbar fracture, and he is still in the hospital. A mother told the media that she and her daughter had been in the store for less than 5 minutes when she felt what seemed like an earthquake. The entire supermarket collapsed, and they were buried under the containers, with water beneath them. The mother recalled the scene in horror. She said, "I thought I was dead. I was doomed. I thought it was an earthquake." She shouted for help, but no one responded because everyone had run away. Later, she called her husband on the phone and contacted the police before she was rescued. According to Jimu News, the supermarket had just opened on November 9th, and the accident happened less than a week later. The supermarket staff said that the supermarket had suspended business, and it was unclear when it would reopen or the cause of the collapse. "I haven't received any notice," one staff member said. After the accident, some netizens from mainland China left messages on social platforms. "There are illegal buildings and illegal constructions everywhere in Guandu District, Kunming. Oh my God, this is Century City in Guandu District, Kunming City. There are too many illegal buildings on the property. There are too many shoddy projects now." Another netizen said, "Whenever there is a problem somewhere, that place always tries to suppress it. Otherwise, the information will be exposed. If there is a problem, the victims are dealt with first." China's first women's clothing stock officially delisted, closing 9,293 stores in 5 years. On November 14th, China's first women's clothing stock, La Chapelle, officially bid farewell to the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Since then, the former women's clothing giant, once known as the Chinese version of Zara, has been officially delisted. According to La Chapelle's announcement, the company's H-share listing status was cancelled as of 9 a.m. on November 14, 2024. In this regard, La Chapelle stated that the cancellation of its H-share listing status would not have a significant impact on the company's daily operations and restructuring. As of now, the number of La Chapelle's operating outlets in the mainland has been reduced to just over 100, while online stores such as the Tmall flagship store continue to operate normally. According to La Chapelle's official Weibo, its current brand spokesperson is the well-known actress Gulinaza. Founded in 1998, La Chapelle was China's first A+H dual-listed clothing company. At its peak, it boasted more than 20 brands and nearly 10,000 directly operated stores. Known as the Chinese version of Zara, it holds a nostalgic place in the memories of many women born in the 1980s and 1990s. The company's operating income exceeded 10 billion yuan, RMB, the same below, in 2018. However, the company suffered a loss that same year. In 2019, its operating income began to decline sharply, leading to a massive loss of 2.17 billion yuan. Since then, La Chapelle has suffered huge losses year after year, with a cumulative net loss of more than 6.6 billion yuan over 5 years. Due to declining revenue and continued performance losses, La Chapelle was delisted from the A-share market in 2022. In recent years, La Chapelle has faced waves of store closures and bankruptcy liquidation proceedings. According to data, at the end of 2017, La Chapelle had as many as 9,448 stores. By the end of 2018, the company had 9,269 directly operated counters. By the end of 2021, the number of stores had decreased to 300. As of June 30th this year, the company had only 155 operating outlets in the mainland. Additionally, the WeChat public account of the Shanghai Bankruptcy Court issued an announcement in June last year stating that La Chapelle Fashion Co. Ltd. was officially bankrupt and undergoing liquidation. In January this year, the headquarters of La Chapelle in Shanghai was put up for auction. Despite being offered at a 30% discount and attracting nearly 10,000 viewers, the land and equipment, valued at 950 million yuan, remained unsold and the auction ultimately failed. As of October 31st, 2024, the company faced a total of 8 lawsuits involving financial loan disputes, construction contract disputes, and more, leading to the seizure of one of its real estate properties. 5 tons of gold from Hakou Holdings vanished, and 3 executives fled overseas in secret. On November 9th, Kunming Resources announced that its actual controller, Yu Zhengyun, was under investigation for suspected fundraising fraud. On November 17th, the financial media outlet Eye of the Storm, under Phoenix.com, reported that Yu Zhengyun, 46, had been in charge of Kunming Resources for less than 2 years. The case involved Hakou Holdings, a company he had managed for many years. Hakou Holdings primarily engaged in funds, private equity, and asset management, with its most notable financial product being gold leasing. According to an internal data list provided by employees on September 2nd, the eve of the company's collapse, unpaid funds totaled more than 7 billion yuan, including over 4 billion yuan from the gold leasing business. Based on a gold price of 700 yuan per gram, this equates to approximately 5 tons of missing gold. At the same time, 3 senior executives, including Yu Zhengyun, secretly fled overseas. 2 months after the collapse, the fallout continues, leaving employees and investors to face the aftermath. Many employees had invested their wages in the company, hoping for profits, only to find themselves working for free and burdened with debt, effectively losing their livelihoods. The company was already in turmoil 2 months ago. Liu Qing, a longtime employee of Hakou Holdings, recalled that on September 5th, a 50 million yuan gold leasing order purchased by a public institution on the Chongqing Tianxia app expired, but was not redeemed. The colleague handling the order initially assumed a delay in the bank's large transfer and waited until 8:30 p.m., but the funds were still not repaid. This news soon spread within the employee group. Many employees, who had also invested in the company's financial products, became anxious about the unexpected abnormality. The next morning, employees rushed to the company and confronted Wang Yuan, the executive president of Hakou Holdings Fund Division, who often handled problem-solving. According to Liu Qing, Wang Yuan appeared calm, claiming he had contacted the company's 2 top leaders, Yu Zhengyun and Yang Yuxiao. While Yu's phone was unreachable, Yang responded, saying he would meet with the new chairman of China Gold to discuss the issue. Wang Yuan reassured employees to continue their work and wait for further updates after the meeting. However, no resolution was announced. By 10 p.m. on September 7th, both of Hakou Holdings' top leaders were unreachable, prompting employees to report the case to the authorities. On September 9th, Kunming Resources issued an announcement confirming that its actual controller, Yu Zhengyun, was missing, drawing public attention to Hakou Holdings' predicament. Shortly afterward, Mutai guaranteed financing and China gold products failed to meet repayment obligations, causing all financial products to collapse. Reports soon emerged that both Yu Zhengyan and Yang Yuxiao had fled. Amid the growing panic, another executive, Yu Jiwei, also disappeared. Hakou Holdings was left leaderless, forcing many employees to stay at their posts to appease distraught investors. Liu Hong, an investor, initially invested 200,000 yuan. After receiving a 7% return and gaining confidence in the company's assets, he made additional investments, accumulating tens of millions of yuan. His largest single investment was 4 million yuan, backed by mortgaged family properties. A colleague he knew had invested as much as 50 million yuan. Employees estimated that about 1/5 of the unrecovered 7 billion yuan came from employee funds. Liu Qing, now middle-aged, was devastated after losing tens of millions in investments. His family savings were wiped out, and the real estate he used as collateral for gold products now faces auction. Once part of the middle class, he was plunged into poverty overnight. When meeting clients seeking to defend their rights, he accompanied them to protests. Otherwise, he spent most of his time at home, suffering from insomnia at night and napping on the sofa during the day. 2 months after the collapse, Liu described feeling like dreaming, unable to face reality. On October 21st, investors began large-scale protests. Nearly every day since, they have gathered in front of Building A, Shizi International Center, No. 9 Jingtan Road, Shangcheng District, Hangzhou, Zhejiang, demanding the return of their hard-earned money. Beijing has never been worse. Street shops are closed and shopping malls are deserted. Beijing has never been in such a dire state. The once bustling streets of Sanlitun and Wangfujing are now unrecognizable. Many businesses have closed, and the shopping malls are deserted. Shimao Tianjie and Galaxy Soho are extremely gloomy. Many people cannot find work, spending their days waiting for a manual labor job to make ends meet. It's heartbreaking to witness the current living conditions along Beijing's Second Ring Road. Beijing netizens have posted that the city has never been as depressed as it is now. The entire city is highly closed off and severely lacking in vitality. Look, today is the weekend. These restaurants used to have long lines of people waiting to have lunch here. But now, the place is empty. The atmosphere so gloomy and deserted, there's truly no one in the shopping mall. On the 25th, some Weibo netizens posted, "I didn't expect Zhongguancun, Beijing, to be so depressed 10 years later." I went to Haidian for an interview today and was struck by how the once bustling area has vanished. After leaving the subway station, I didn't see many people shopping. Many shops were closed. Carrefour and Shibao Street were gone. I only saw a few snack bars and convenience stores. Netizens responded one after another. Since the Didwan, low-end population was cleaned up a year ago, the city has gradually become deserted. Beijing is in a depression overall, not just limited to Zhongguancun. I don't know why things are like this now. My impression of Beijing from 10 years ago is nothing like what it is today. On September 25th last year, Li Hua, pseudonym, an insider who often travels between Beijing and other cities in Hebei province, told a reporter that Beijing's economy is indeed depressed at present. For example, Beijing's Wukesong, which is close to West Chang'an Street, used to be quite busy, but since July this year, the number of shops in this area has dropped sharply. According to Li Hua's observation, there are now fewer than 10 foreign-owned supermarkets in Beijing, and most of them have closed. Carrefour's last store in Beijing has been acquired. There are no more Carrefours in Beijing, and now Walmart is barely holding on. A Beijing resident named Wang Li told reporters that the national economy is currently in a severe recession. Even the capital, Beijing, has become deserted, empty, and lifeless. Unlike in previous years, things are no longer good. Except for civil servants who have some money, people basically have no money. The WeChat public account Pinkadashi published an article titled, "Beijing has never been as depressed as it is now," describing the current depression in Beijing based on years of working and living in the city. The article mentioned that there used to be no guardrails in Tiananmen Square, and the buildings could be photographed at close range. But now they are all blocked off. Many places in Beijing have been artificially divided, such as schools, which used to symbolize openness. Now, Tsinghua University, Peking University, other universities, middle schools, and elementary schools are all inaccessible. The article also cites Sanlitun, a once famous landmark in Beijing, as an example. In the past, Sanlitun was the fashion center of Beijing and even China, with a variety of restaurants, dinner parties, celebrities, film crews, and beautiful people. But now, it no longer resembles its former self. There is no superficial prosperity. There are more farmers' markets in fifth-tier counties than in Sanlitun. The article also noted that there are obviously fewer foreigners in Beijing now, including fewer white people, black people, and mixed-race West Asians. In the past, Liangma Kiao was practically a concession. Every day a bunch of white people would run around the Liangma River. It was almost like the Seine. Moreover, the streets in Beijing are not very lively right now, especially at night when there are no people around. There are no stalls, sellers, photographers, or street performers. The streets are completely empty. The article pointed out that Beijing's economy was once very strong. The technology sector, which used to symbolize the internet, is no longer viable in Haidian. Finance, located in Xi'an, is now under strict regulation and has lost its vitality. Education, also in Haidian, is said to be the worst-hit industry. Culture, centered in Chaoyang, includes film, television, music, art, and media industries. But Beijing's cultural industry is now moribund. Another area is foreign investment, also in Chaoyang. Foreign investment in Beijing used to be very strong, but everyone knows that the situation has been very bad in recent years, especially investment in Beijing. The article concludes by saying that the job opportunities in technology, education, finance, culture, foreign investment, and tourism, which used to support a large number of ordinary Beijing citizens, are no longer available. With the Chinese economy rapidly declining and in recession, Beijing is gradually falling into a difficult and gloomy period. A layer of smog covers the city, and everywhere, the vitality of dawn is no longer present.